Well, the notion of chemical-free is entirely mythical because every physical object in our universe is either a pure chemical or a mixture of chemicals. The definition of chemical is basically a physical substance. Everything is a chemical in our universe and it's impossible to avoid them. We are chemicals, the food we eat is chemicals, everything we touch is a chemical. But what people mean when they say chemical-free is the absence of what they perceive as synthetic and therefore toxic chemicals. People make that link, chemical therefore synthetic, therefore toxic. That's entirely erroneous. There is huge amounts of safety study that's gone into testing all sorts of natural and synthetic chemicals. And what's interesting is they found that the most toxic things on the planet are natural. It tends to be that some of the mildest ingredients used in products are actually synthetic. Chemical-free is not something I ever advocate. If you see it on a label, ignore it. Just because a product is Ayurvedic or traditional Chinese medicine or based on Western herbalism or some other practice doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be safe or effective. The only way to ensure that a product is safe and effective is clinical trials. If an ingredient has been extensively studied and produced in the right way and tested on the right patients in large enough cohorts, that can prove the safety and efficacy of a product. And I request that patients do not fall for the trap of believing that just because it's one of those particular herbal remedies, that it's definitely going to be milder, safer, or better in some other way. The only way to guarantee safety is scientific testing, clinical trials for safety and efficacy, and that's it. Product labels are so detailed that consumers actually don't really understand what they're reading. Most people, even scientifically literate consumers and patients, will tend to look at an ingredients label and just see a long list of words. The intention of ingredients labels was for people with allergies, that they could spot things that they might be allergic to, but the side effect of having things labeled in so much detail is that the majority of the public who is not allergic to these ingredients is actually being put off using them. The problem is that consumers do not understand what they're reading, and I think there is definitely a need for us to simplify. International labeling regulations are so strict now for ingredients that everything has to be labeled in a particular way. Originally, this was due to people with allergens who needed to find particular allergens in a product so they could know whether it's safe for them to use. But now, there's actually too much information provided to consumers, and most people don't have allergies and they don't actually understand what they're reading. Most people look at the ingredients list and they don't know what the role is of each of those ingredients. They just see a long sort of word salad, if you like, a huge mixture of compounds. Most of them they've never really seen or recognized. And this does create a kind of fear of the unknown. Way to combat this is to provide an alternative, simpler labeling system, not on the product, but either on the website, through video, through one-to-one interactions, through documents, through pamphlets, to provide consumers and patients with a simplified version of the label to show that actually this lotion, which had 22 ingredients, is really only 6 things. And each one of those classes of ingredients is entirely necessary to make the product function and to make it safe. You need the water, you need the emollients, you need the humectants, you need the pH stabilizers. You need each one of these things in there and more. And once consumers and patients understand that every ingredient has a specific role and has been placed in there very, very carefully to do a particular job in the product, once they know what each ingredient is for, they'll no longer fear it.